The emotional turning point in dismissive avoidant life that can eventually lead toward hopeful reconciliation. Have you ever wondered what finally changes inside a dismissive avoidant when they lose someone truly valuable? There is often a hidden emotional turning point that happens quietly beneath their protective walls and distant behavior. For years, a dismissive avoidant may believe independence is safer than emotional vulnerability and deep connection. They convince themselves that needing someone creates weakness, and emotional dependence creates unnecessary pain. They learn to suppress feelings, avoid difficult conversations, and escape situations that feel emotionally overwhelming. But eventually, life can create moments where those defenses begin to feel less protective than before. The person they pushed away may become the person they realize they never truly wanted to lose. This realization usually does not happen suddenly, because emotional awareness develops slowly inside avoidant patterns. At first, they may experience confusion because their mind and emotions begin sending opposite messages. Their mind remembers the reasons they created distance, but their heart remembers the connection they abandoned. This internal conflict becomes the beginning of a major emotional transformation in their life. A dismissive avoidant often reaches this point when distractions stop working and silence becomes impossible to ignore. They may begin noticing that freedom without emotional intimacy feels different than they expected. The independence they once protected can start feeling more like loneliness instead of genuine peace. They begin asking deeper questions about their choices, their relationships, and their emotional habits. Why did I run when someone was offering genuine love and understanding? Why did I reject closeness when connection was exactly what I secretly desired? These questions create discomfort, but they can also create the first signs of emotional growth. The emotional turning point begins when they stop blaming the relationship and start examining themselves. Instead of thinking the other person was too much, they begin thinking, maybe I was afraid. This shift is powerful because accountability replaces avoidance, and awareness replaces emotional denial. A dismissive avoidant who reaches this stage may finally understand what they lost. They may remember the patience, kindness, and emotional safety that someone provided for them. They may recognize that not every person offers the same level of understanding and acceptance. The person they once considered demanding may now appear incredibly rare and meaningful. However, this realization does not always immediately lead to reconciliation, because change requires action. Feeling regret is different from developing the emotional skills needed for a healthy relationship. A dismissive avoidant must learn how to communicate, express feelings, and tolerate emotional closeness. Without these changes, returning to the relationship can simply recreate old patterns again. The hopeful part is that emotional growth is possible when someone genuinely becomes self-aware. Many dismissive avoidants are not incapable of love. They are often uncomfortable with emotional exposure. Their distance can be a learned survival strategy rather than a complete absence of feelings. When they understand their patterns, they can slowly build healthier emotional responses. The biggest transformation happens when they stop seeing vulnerability as a threat. They begin realizing that allowing someone close does not mean losing their identity. They discover that emotional connection can exist alongside independence and personal freedom. This new understanding can completely change how they approach relationships. The person who once feared commitment may begin seeing commitment as emotional security. The person who once escaped difficult conversations may begin choosing honest communication. The person who once protected their heart through distance may begin protecting love through effort. This is the stage where hopeful reconciliation becomes possible, because both people can create something different. Reconciliation does not mean returning to the exact relationship that existed before. It means creating a new relationship based on awareness, respect, and emotional responsibility. A dismissive avoidant who has experienced this turning point may approach love differently. They may finally understand that losing someone can reveal the value they previously overlooked. Sometimes people recognize importance only after experiencing the emptiness of separation. The absence of someone loving can make their presence feel much more significant. They may remember small moments that once seemed ordinary, but were actually meaningful. They may miss the emotional comfort, laughter, and acceptance they received from that person. These memories can become powerful reminders of what genuine connection feels like. However, true reconciliation requires more than missing someone during lonely moments. It requires a willingness to face fears that created distance in the first place. The avoidant partner must become willing to stay present during emotional discomfort. They must learn that conflict does not always mean rejection or relationship failure. They must understand that healthy love includes challenges, conversations, and emotional honesty. The emotional turning point is not about becoming a completely different person overnight. It is about becoming aware enough to make different choices moving forward. Growth happens through small moments of courage and emotional openness. Each honest conversation becomes evidence that closeness can feel safe. Each vulnerable moment becomes proof that connection does not have to cause harm. Over time, these experiences can reshape their beliefs about love and attachment. The dismissive avoidant who once feared emotional dependence may discover emotional partnership. They may learn that the right relationship does not trap them, but supports their growth. They may realize that someone loving them deeply was never a burden. It was actually an opportunity to experience a deeper level of human connection. For the other person, reconciliation also requires awareness and healthy boundaries. Love alone cannot rebuild a relationship if only one person is willing to grow. Both individuals must create a space where emotional safety can exist. The avoidant must offer consistency, and the other person must protect their own emotional needs. When both people evolve, the relationship can become stronger than before. The emotional turning point in a dismissive avoidant's life is often a quiet internal awakening. It happens when they finally recognize that emotional distance cannot protect them from every pain. Sometimes the greatest pain comes from losing the person who truly understood them. This realization can become the beginning of healing rather than simply a source of regret. A dismissive avoidant may eventually look back and understand their old behaviors differently. They may see that they were not protecting themselves from love, but from vulnerability. They may understand that the person they pushed away was offering something valuable, something they secretly wanted, but were afraid to fully accept. And when that awareness arrives, a new possibility begins to appear. Not every story leads back to reconciliation, but personal growth always creates new opportunities. A healthier future begins when people choose understanding over fear and connection over avoidance. The greatest emotional transformation happens when someone finally stops running from what they truly desire. For a dismissive avoidant, that moment can become the bridge between losing love and learning how to keep it. Because sometimes the person who walks away is not searching for another person. They are searching for the courage to finally receive the love they always wanted.